What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Oregon State Dynasty. We are continuing on here with postseason coverage following our 62-14 win over Oklahoma in the national championship, our fourth consecutive BCS national championship. Be sure to go check that game out. I'll tag it right here. If you missed it, it's probably because you're not subscribed. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. When we get to 225 subscribers, I think we're 5 away, I'm going to drop another one-on-one game I played with my buddy Calvin. Those are always fun to watch, so I'll drop another one if we hit 225 subs. We're super close, but as always, thank you guys so much for the continued support and the continued love. We're going to continue to move along here, and today we're going to do postseason part 1. I want to split up the postseason episode so it's not like an hour long. We're going to do it in increments, so we'll do part 1 today, pretty much everything before the seniors get drafted and all that stuff, and then part 2 will be tomorrow. And with part 2, of course, we'll do like top plays of the seniors' careers, just career highlights from all the seniors leaving, and then after that we'll go with the preseason and get into season, what is it, like 6 now, I think? Season 6, I believe, on YouTube, and then season 9 on the actual Dynasty itself. We have 2 years left on our contract, so I have to play 2 more seasons at Oregon State, and then we can think about going to a different school, but we're going to enjoy it while we're here. So let's go ahead and get started. So, again, we beat Oklahoma 62-14. Super fun game. I'll have the highlights up pretty soon as well. You can check that out on the highlights playlist, and I'll tag the highlights playlist right here, so just be on the lookout for that. Hit the bell for the notifications. You won't miss them. I'm trying to post every day, though. So, let me just show you guys the coach contracts page here before we get started. This is how we're looking right here. You can see very prestigious career thus far. We started 11-3, and we've had 3 different 14-0 perfect seasons now. We've won 4 straight BCS national championships and 6 straight Pac-12 championships. So it's been fun. This past year, I ramped up the difficulty even more, and I'll probably do the same next year. We're playing on the J-Kit sliders. We're playing on the hard sliders. All right, I'm trying to make it difficult, but we're still just running through everybody. Next year should be a good challenge. I think we're having 20 seniors leave the team, maybe 21 this year. So next year we're going to have to replace a lot of very good players. I think this past team I had was my best ever in Corvallis. So next year is going to be a challenge. So, if you want to watch some good football games, we'll probably have some next year. But we're up and over our 100th win with Dana Dimmel here. We started back at UTEP. If you are new here, go to the beginning of the playlist. I'll tag the playlist right here, episode 1. I kind of cover everything, the history of the Dynasty, all that stuff. And here we are now. So there's a look at that. All right, let's take a look at the All-Americans now. I usually do this before the championship game, but I didn't want to do that this year. I just wanted to get into the game itself. So here we go. Who do we have on the list? We got Ryan Reynolds, first-team All-American running back. I think that's the first time he's ever been a first-team All-American at the running back spot. We got Lee Duncan, our left tackle. Jamal Riley, our center. He also won 2 different offensive lineman awards. We got 2 different right guards on here for some reason. That's strange. That's weird for some reason. They have 2 different guys there. I don't really understand that. But anyways, we got Mark Williams on there. We got Chris Cobbs on there. So we got 4 of our 5 offensive linemen are on the list. The only guy that's not on there is Micah McCray, and it's probably because he's the weak link of our offensive line. If you've watched my games before, you see he gives up quite a few sacks. He gave up like 3 in our last game, so hopefully he gets better next year. But switching over to the defensive side, Jonathan Joseph, Early Carter, and David Carter are on there for defensive line. These guys are beasts. They're all graduating. They're all going to the NFL. The one guy that's not there is Chad Melton, our other defensive tackle, who is still a really good player, but he's not on this list. He'll probably be second team or definitely first team all-conference, I would say, for the Pac-12. Moving back, we have Jonathan Small, our middle linebacker. He gets first team All-American honors. And Marcus Mobley, of course. I mean, he's been an All-American, I think, every single year that he's been here. And he's been a 4-year starter. 4-year starter. Not a 5-year contributor because he redshirted, but guy was a mainstay in our defense. It's going to be tough to see him go. In the secondary, Dave Motley, one of our corners, gets first-team All-American recognition. Jaron Taylor and George McGuire, the safety tandem, one of the best in the country. They both get first-team All-American honors. And moving down the list, we got Matt Sparks and Luke Engel. Both of my specialists get on there, and Dwayne Turner gets it for returner. He's never been a wide receiver All-American because he's always a returner All-American. You can't be both, so it is what it is. He's still an All-American nonetheless, right? Switching over to the second team here, we got Micah McCray. He's actually on the list for second team All-American, my right guard. So good for him. Good to see him on there. Anybody else? No, nobody else defensively. Not Chad Melton either, so that's a little concerning. But let's check out the freshman team here. We didn't really have that many freshmen play this year, so I don't think we're going to have anybody on here, but we'll see. Yeah, I didn't really think so. Our roster, our depth chart was dominated by sophomores and upperclassmen players, so I'm not surprised we don't have any freshman All-American this year. We usually do. Maybe Carl Wilson could have gotten on there. He's that freshman wide receiver. He made a couple catches this year, but I'm not surprised. All right, let's check out the All-Conference. We typically just dominate these lists, and right off the bat, there's a problem because Shane Austin is not the best quarterback in the Pac-12, apparently. It's this Jason Cohen guy. I mean, I don't really, it doesn't make much sense to me because we beat UCLA by 40 points, and Austin, I'm sure, looked really good that game because our offense scored 53 points. So I don't really understand that. I don't know what more the dude needs to do. Ryan Reynolds gets on there. Dwayne Turner's actually on there for wide receiver instead of returner, so that's good to see. Lee Duncan, Jamal Riley. Yeah, okay, my entire offensive line is on this list. No surprise there. Defensively, yep, my entire defensive line is on this list as well. You see Chad Melton on there, my boy. Moving back to linebacker, Kenny Hubbard actually didn't get any All-American recognition, which is a little surprising to me. I thought he had a really good year. We got Jonathan Small, Mobley, of course, Motley, Taylor, McGuire, Sparks, Angle, and some other guy, this Phillips guy, gets Returner of the Year from UCLA. So much of what you saw on the All-American list. Second team, there's Shane Austin. He gets second team All-Pac-12. Still a bit of a snub there if you ask me. Our backup left guard, John Ward, gets second team All-Conference. That's nice to see. Kind of weird that, and Amir Moore actually too. Another backup. Our backup's got a lot of playing time this year, I guess, so they had an opportunity to kind of get in and show what they can do. But it's just kind of funny because they're backups and they're on these lists. Moore's a youngin', actually. He's a sophomore. He's next up at center. Jamal Riley's going to the NFL, so nice to see him on the list. That's promising. Moving back to the secondary, you got Ron Cotton and Brian Underwood. I don't get why Underwood's second team, but whatever. Underwood and Cotton are on there. Cotton will probably be back next year. He could go to the NFL if he wants. But he should be back next year to hold down the secondary. And that is that for all Pac-12. All right, moving over to award winners. We already kind of saw this before the National Championship or Pac-12 Championship, one of those two. But let's just go ahead and highlight these guys one more time. So Marcus Mobley wins the Bednarik Award for I think the nation's best defensive player, I believe that is. Jaron Taylor comes in second. Jonathan Joseph came in sixth. That's that. Nagurski, Mobley again with the win there. Joseph in second, Carter in fourth. In the Biletnikoff, Dwayne Turner came in 11th. He had over 3,000 all-purpose yards this year, 21 total touchdowns. He's not really a Biletnikoff kind of wide receiver because he makes an impact in so many different ways, but Returner of the Year is his award. They should rename it the Dwayne Turner, honorary award for Returner of the Year. Outland, Jamal Riley gets the dub there. Mark Williams, came in sixth. Remington, Riley gets the win again. Like I mentioned, he won 2 awards there. Joseph and Carter, 1 and 2 for Lombardi. Joseph gets the W there after a 14 sack here. We're going to take a look at all the season stats in just a sec, but this guy tied Phil Hall's record for sacks in a single season, and he had a chance to break it, but we didn't get like any sacks in that championship game, but it's all good. Best linebacker, of course, it's got to be Mobley. 100%. And we called that earlier in the season. I'll tag that UCLA game right there. This guy looked like the best linebacker in the country, and he gets the award for it. Jaron Taylor wins the Thorpe. We always win the Thorpe award. Like every single year we have, if it's not the free safety, it's like a corner or, the strong safety. We use her with the free safety. We make a lot of plays, and I like to be heavily involved for that reason. So we usually win the Thorpe, and we get that W once again this year. McGuire comes in 8th as well. He was on this list every single year he was here. Carosa, Sparks gets the win there. And it's kind of funny actually. He kicked 100 extra points exactly, as you can see on the screen there. And Angle wins the guy after a heck of a season. He had a 76-yard punt, guys. It was unbelievable. I'll play the video right here. And then, of course, Dwayne Turner gets the best returner after about 1,500 kick return yards, 3 touchdowns there, and then 640 more in punt return yards. We had 1 punt return touchdown this year, and it wasn't even him. It was John McConnell, which is just crazy. This dude never got a punt return touchdown. We were close one time. I forget who it was. I think it was against Arizona. We were 1 yard shy of the pylon on a punt return. That would have been it, but what are you going to do? All right, now we're going to look at season stats. We'll do career stats for just the seniors, and we'll look at bowl game scores next week because they not all of them have been played yet, so we'll look at them next week, just the Pac-12 and the big bowl games. Well, let's go ahead and look at the season stats. So Shane Austin, over 3,000 yards passing this year. That's what you like to see from a quarterback, and he's dual threat too. He's not a pocket passer, so that's really good for him. 26 touchdowns to 7 picks. Very good. I mean, he struggled early on in the season. He struggled with interceptions last year, I remember. But this year, very smart with the ball, and it shows up on the stat sheet right there. He had a very good season, 77% completion percentage. But here's the thing. He would have been a whole lot better, and our offense would have been a whole lot better. His rushing numbers would be a whole lot better if he wasn't sacked 44 times. That's what we're going to focus on next season. That's what's got to change. That's the only thing holding us back, really. We're not even being held back because we're still winning, but that's our one struggle is our offensive line and sacks. Looking at our backup, Lee McGhee is going to be our starter next season. It's funny because he's actually better overall than Shane Austin, as you can see. 96 versus 92. Well, you can't see. Just take my word for it. He had a good season, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns in primarily garbage time, and I'm excited to see what he could do next year. This guy is fast, and after he trains, he should be a 99 overall player, so get ready. All right, moving to the running backs here. We'll sort this by yardage. Ryan Reynolds, over 1,600 yards this year, about 7 per carry, 19 touchdowns along of 49, 118 per game, 405 after contact, 10 of 20 plus. Didn't fumble either, and that's impressive if you ask me. Remember last year he was a senior, and we had Zach Garrett and Ryan Reynolds, right? I redshirted him to come back so he could have his one big season where he was the primary go-to running back, right? Well, this was it. He took full advantage, had a heck of a season, and we'll talk more about him in part 2. Moving on, though, Shane Austin comes in second for rushing, of course, 614 yards. It could have been a whole lot more if he wasn't sacked 44 times. He's a 1,000-yard rusher, easy. Both years he starts. If he doesn't get sacked as many times as he does. But 11 touchdowns on the ground, so make that 26, 37 and 7 this year total touchdown wise. So very good year. 200 yards after contact, 11 of 20 plus, even more than Ryan Reynolds. 12 broken tackles. He was a break tackle machine in that championship game. And, heck of a year. Moving down the list, John McConnell projects to be our starting running back next season. 367 yards, 7 per carry, 4 touchdowns, along with 64. Respectable numbers. 68 after contact, 1 of 20 plus. And he's a power back kind of guy. He's only a redshirt sophomore, too, so he should have 2 years to start in our offense. Moving down, Lee McGhee, again, our backup quarterback, 4 touchdowns, 134 yards on the ground, and 4 of 20 plus. I'm telling y'all, man, he's gonna be a movie next year with the run plays we have with the quarterback in our offense. We're gonna take full advantage, trust me. Moving down the list, we got Pennington, a wide receiver, got 93 yards. Beverly at 69 and a touchdown. Dwayne Turner, only 60 yards, but 6 touchdowns on the ground, mostly a wildcat, jet sweep type stuff. Just another dimension he adds to our offense and his game, really. Jeremiah Bryant, 5 carries for 20 yards. I want to get this guy more involved next year. He's a junior. He's going to be a senior already. This guy's career is just snapped by super fast for us. But he should have a bigger role next year as the backup. If he trains hard enough, he could be the starter. But he's a fast guy, so be on the lookout for Jeremiah Bryant next year. Brian Brewer, 2 carries for 19 yards and 2 touchdowns, actually. 1 in the championship game, 1 against Washington State, I believe. So nice to see the sophomore getting involved. And Chris Phillips, the Wildcat man himself, 26 carries for 18 yards, mind you. 0.6 per touch, but 13 touchdowns. This guy is a machine in the Wildcat. He'll probably have maybe 100 touchdowns by the time he leaves Oregon State. He had like 20 last year, I think. So yeah, another big year for him. And we're gonna continue to try to find ways for him to get involved because he's not just a running threat; he's an athlete. He could be a receiving threat as well. So be on the lookout for that. All right, moving over to receiving. It's really, the numbers are really balanced actually, which I like to see. So we got Turner first. He falls short of 1,000 yards, which is typically the benchmark for a receiver. But like I said, he adds that running game dimension to the offense. So it's fine. It all makes up, right? 943 yards, though. 18 per catch. 8 touchdowns there. Long of 59. 67 per game. 400. That's the most impressive thing. 417 after the catch. That's just what he can do, and no drops. That's very, very good. Austin Beverly, kind of a down year for him, but still a pretty productive year. 636 yards, 31 catches, 4 touchdowns. Let's see, and 2 drops. But a good season for Beverly, the redshirt senior, closing out a heck of a career, and we'll talk about him more along with Turner in part 2. Curtis Pennington, a big redshirt sophomore year for him. Quietly a nice season. 571 on 36 catches. That's the 3rd most amongst wide receivers this year. Actually, second. Reynolds is 42, but he's a running back, so it's different. 5 touchdowns there. 265 yards after catch, and he should be the go-to guy next year. He'll probably be an outside receiver, and we're going to have to find someone else to play in the slot. So be on the lookout for that. Ryan Reynolds, 42 catches, 322 yards there, 3 touchdowns, 7.6 per reception. Typically used in the screen game and whatnot. You guys know how it is. James Parker, another sophomore wide receiver, former 5-star, he'll probably be our slot receiver next year, honestly. He's 5'11", 182, 25 catches, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns. So nice season for him. He actually was a little more involved than I thought he would be. So good, experience getting into next year as taking over a bigger role, right? Jamal Vann, our starting tight end, came back for his 5th year and had 276 receiving yards on 20 catches, 4 touchdowns there. That's a solid year. Next year, I really want to do a better job of getting the ball to my tight end. But that's a good year. 276 and 4 scores. Maybe he'll get drafted to the NFL in the 6th or 7th round. We'll keep an eye on that. John McConnell next up there. Nothing else really too big to highlight down here. Brian Brewer had 6 for 84 and a touchdown. That's not bad. He'll probably be our 4th or 5th option next season. We had Edgar Haas, the tight end, the backup tight end, 3 catches, 49 yards. This is a guy I want to get the ball to more next year for sure. Former 5-star, by the way. Carl Wilson, the true freshman, had 3 catches, 1 in the national championship game for 28 yards. He should have a bigger role next season, maybe in the slot. Chris Phillips had 2 for 15, so that's all the receiving targets. All right, looking at the offensive line, just super quick. Here we go. So Chris Cobbs gave up 11 sacks this year. Lee Duncan, 10. So both these guys are graduating. We'll see if our new tackles can do a better job of holding up and pass protection and whatnot. Micah McCray actually only gave up 6 this year. So that's not as bad as I thought. Williams, 5. Ward, 4. And Riley, 2. How about Pancakes? Who led us in Pancakes? Jamal Riley has to be 10, 7, 7, 7, and 3. And now let's move over to the defense. So, leader in tackles. Let's go. Yeah, we'll go with this one. Was George McGuire. Actually, McGuire and Taylor tied at 66 on the dot. That's actually pretty crazy. Mobley came in 3rd with 58. Jonathan Small in 4th with 52. Kenny Hubbard in 5th with 44. Then you got Cotton, Motley, Pickens, and Joseph down there. So, nice to see that. Both of my safeties leading in tackles. Typically a bad thing, but again, my safeties just make plays. They get involved, and they do a lot for us. That's why they win awards every year, you know what I'm saying? All right, moving over to the TFL numbers. Mobley leads the team with 23 tackles for loss. That is unreal. Wow, I thought for sure it'd be Joseph, but Mobley with 23 TFLs. I doubt a linebacker's ever had that many TFLs in one season. A linebacker. Comment down below if you could think of anybody or find anybody that has done more than that. That's unbelievable. Jonathan Joseph follows it up with 21. Kenny Hubbard with 20. Remember this dude? I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but this dude was a safety. He was a backup strong safety to George McGuire. He wasn't going to play at all. Move him to linebacker, takes over. 20 TFLs. He may have just played himself into a draft pick opportunity in the NFL. Moving on, Early Carter 15 and David Carter both 15 TFLs apiece. McGuire with 11. Jaron Taylor had 10. Jonathan Small with 8. No sacks, kind of surprising. Kevin Pickens had 7. Chad Melton 6. Ron Cotton 6. And that's just about that. Looking at the sack numbers, 14 for Jonathan Joseph. Like I said, tied a school record for single season. Phil Hall, previous defensive end for us. I'll put a picture up here if you remember him. And he has a chance to break that next year if he comes back, but he's a guy at 90 overall and putting up those numbers. He could go to the league this year, so we'll see. David Carter was second with 8 sacks. Early Carter had 5. Marcus Mobley had 4. Chad Melton 3. Brandon Hill, backup defensive end, had 2. That's impressive. He's going to be a starter next year. We're going to need him to step up. Kenny Hubbard had 2 as well, and then a bunch of guys down here had 1. All right, moving over to picks. Pretty spread out. 4 for Brian Underwood, 4 for Dave Motley, including a pick 6 in the Pac-12 championship. Underwood had a pick 6 in the national championship. McGuire had a pick in the Pac-12 championship as well. Cotton had a pick in the national championship. They both get 2. 1 for Mobley, 1 for Small, 1 for Hubbard, 1 for Brian Jude, young sophomore, who next year should be our nickelback, but we'll see with that. And then Jared Taylor had 1 as well. I need him to get some more next season for sure. Deflection-wise, 7 for Underwood. A lot of those have probably dropped interceptions. Pickens 4, Small 4, Cotton 4. And then the list goes on from there. Forced fumbles, Marcus Mobley with 6 forced fumbles this year. Guy had a hell of a season. He laid the wood for sure. Fumble recoveries, these are all just field goals that were short that Turner grabbed and took back for a touchdown most likely. But a bunch of guys tied for 1 in fumble recoveries. We didn't have any safeties this year, but defensive touchdowns, we had a lot. So 4 for Turner. I mentioned the kick 6s. Motley had 2. Underwood had 2. Small had 1. That was against California, that funny play. Hubbard had 1. Mobley had 1. And Early Carter had 1 against Washington State. I remember that one. All right, in the kicking game, Matt Sparks, 14 for 16 on field goals. He missed 1 in the national championship off the right upright, but that's a solid year. Long of 50. We don't really kick that many field goals, as you can see, but whenever we struggle to get the offense going early on and we sputter near midfield, it's nice to have a kicker that can knock down a long one for you. And then it's really nice to have a punter that can flip the field position when our offense is struggling. Angle 13 punts this year, 677 total yards, averaged 52. He'll be the best punter in next year's draft class. 2 were down inside the 20 and a long of 76, like I said. Next year, I'm going to look to get more down inside the 10-yard line with the Gunners and stuff, but a good season for sure. In the kick return game, of course, Dwayne Turner, 41 of those for 1,500 yards, 3 touchdowns, long of 105, 38 every time he touched it. The guy was electric. We're going to miss him in the return game. We got to find our new guy back there. In the punt return, Dwayne Turner, 52 of those for 640 yards, 12 per time. 32 was his long one, and then John McConnell had the golden one that he took back for a touchdown against Wazoo, 63 yards, and he might be the returner next year, actually, after he did that. He might be the guy for us. He's kind of slow, but he might be the guy. All right, looking at team stats real quick. Offensively, I believe we led the nation in offensive yardage. We did. Over 8,700 yards. Next closest was Nebraska. In just offensive numbers, we came in second, trailing Nebraska by about 500. Passing yards, we came in the top 10. UCLA actually won that statistical category. Probably why their quarterback got first team all Pac-12, now that I think about it. But nonetheless, rushing yardage, Army came in first because all they do is run the ball. But again, we were in the top 10 there. We ran the ball well. Points per game, we led the nation with 55. Passing touchdowns, we are not in the top 10 because we score a lot of our touchdowns on the ground, especially when we get inside the 10. I don't really pass the ball. But rushing touchdowns, that we did lead the nation, easily 60 there. In terms of sack numbers, we got sacked 47 times. That is tied for the most in the country. That's not good. That's the one bad thing about our team is that. First downs, we didn't get a lot of those because we had a lot of big plays. I'd rather have the big plays than rack up a bunch of first downs, you know what I'm saying? All right, strictly looking in the Pac-12, we led the nation in points, or yards rather, so of course we have to lead the Pac-12. Offensively, we led the nation there. Passing-wise, we came in second. Rushing-wise, we came in first. Points per game, easily in first. Passing touchdowns, we came in fourth. That's not terrible. Rushing touchdowns, easily have the lead there. Next closest was USC with 24. Sack numbers, we definitely came in last. No surprise there. First down numbers, don't really care about those, but we came in fourth, actually. That's not terrible. We didn't look at national defense, so let's just do that real quick. All right, defensively, we came in sixth in total yards allowed. That's not bad. Passing yards, let's see. Not great. We're probably in the top 50, somewhere around there. Rushing yards, though, we came in first. We usually do. And Army was the next closest team. 500 more yards right there. Points-wise, we came in... points allowed. We came in second. Only to Oklahoma, yet we scored 62 on them boys. How many sacks did we have? 46. That led the nation. Total sacks for a team. That's nice to see. Interceptions, we came in 8th, I believe. 8th, yep. Or 7th? Yeah, 7th. Okay, not bad. All right, now looking at the Pac-12 strictly. First in total yards defense. 5th in passing yards defense. First in rushing yards, of course. First in points. First in sacks. I think first in fumbles. Yep, and 6 of those were Marcus Mobley, remember. Interceptions, we came in second. USC at 20. That's impressive. But let's look at the team stats there. All right, and with that, I think we're ready to move on to next week. So we'll look at bowl game scores and whatever else is up in the next week. And then that will probably be the end of this episode. And like I said, I'll drop part 2 tomorrow. Let's go ahead and advance the week. All right, looks like we leveled up coaching-wise. We'll see if we get an upgrade. And they're updating the record books right quick. So that means Jonathan Joseph should have his name in there in some capacity. We'll take a look at that. All right, so we do have a head coaching upgrade, so let's go ahead and get that done, I guess. Let's go ahead and get this pipeline. May as well. So now we only need 4 players from one state in our team to make it a pipeline state, so that'll be big for us. All right, for NCAA Players of the Week from bowl season, we sweep the nation. Brian Underwood gets it with a tackle and 2 picks. And then Shane Austin wins it on the offensive side of things. 17 for 19, 208 yards, 12 carries, 146 yards, 3 total touchdowns. I'm telling y'all, if you didn't watch the game, it was his best game in an Oregon State uniform. Go check it out. All right, so let's peep the we'll peep the top 25 and then the bowl games here. So for Pac-12, Oregon beat Nevada in the Mako Bowl, whatever it is. Good win for the conference right there. Good to see a 19-point win. UCLA beat TCU in the Holiday Bowl, a 6-6 TCU team, mind you, but still another good win for the Pac-12. UCLA a 10-3 season this year. Love to see it, and they finished 13th in the nation rankings-wise. USC edged out Texas in the Alamo Bowl, 17-14, going into Texas's state against probably a Longhorn-favored crowd. And getting a 3-point win is big for us, big for the conference. An 11-win season for the Trojans, 11-3 they finish. And then California beats Miami 42-23 in the Sun Bowl. So if my math is correct here, the Pac-12 went 5-0 in bowl season, so that's huge. All right, now let's take a look at the top 25. Don't care about that one or that one. Tulane, actually, 11-2. Love to see that. Navy beat Boston College. They end up with a ranked slot. Cincinnati finishes 10-3 and took down LSU by a touchdown. Let's see. Arkansas beat Florida State by 3. Florida State was a team that was number 1 at one point, I think, and they really dropped off the end of the year. I think 3 straight losses. Michigan whooped Vanderbilt 52-19 in the Gator Bowl. Missouri beat Rutgers by 12 points in the Outback Bowl. And Nebraska beat Alabama by a field goal in the Capital One Bowl. Maryland took down Clemson by 2. They finished 4th in the nation. Clemson finishes 9th. Tennessee beat Penn State, a team we played earlier in the year, by, 21 points. Good win there for them in the Fiesta. Army beat A&M by 17 in the Sugar Bowl, another team that we beat and blew out. And Auburn, continuing. Auburn beats Baylor, not a big one right there. UNC beat Connecticut. Actually, UNC finishes number 2 in the rankings. That's crazy. 13-1. And UConn finishes 12th of the 10-3 season. And finally, North Texas beat Notre Dame 16-10 in the BBVA Compass Bowl. The same Notre Dame team that is the top recruiting class coming in, and the same Notre Dame team that we beat in the national championship 3 seasons ago. They've really fallen off the map. That's bowl season. All right, so we end number 1, of course, as we should. Carolina gets the 2 slot after their win. Army comes in 3rd. Oklahoma jumped all the way to 5th. I mean, rightly so. They lost by about 48 points, about 50 points in the national championship, so they obviously didn't deserve to be there. Maryland comes in 4th. Good season for them. Maybe we'll look to play some of these teams next year. Maybe Tennessee in a neutral site game. You got Tennessee in 6th. A&M 7, Cincy 8, Clemson 9, Nebraska 10. Like I said before, we have UCLA and USC from the Pac-12 representing. So here we are with the contract extension. I signed one of these a couple years ago. I still have 2 years left, like I said, so I'm not really looking to sign an extension right now. I kind of want to keep my options open in case at the end of this, the next season feel like we want to go somewhere else. Let's view the contract, though, just for kicks. What's it looking like? That is a fat extension. 7-year extension. Would run all the way through 2031, man. That's unreal. As you can see, too, the program tradition's up to a B, and they expect 12 wins a year from us. Obviously, we expect that as well, but just crazy how the level of this job has increased since we've come here from UTEP. I'm not going to sign that, of course. I don't want to sign a 7-year extension. We can't participate in the coaching carousel because we're still under contract as well. All right, this is where we're going to end the episode for this week, guys. We're going to pick up next in part 2, which will be dropping tomorrow or pretty soon. Coach changes, players leaving, all that stuff, and we'll continue on to the draft. And I think we'll cut it there, then get into the preseason. Yeah, I think we're gonna do the off season by itself as well. We'll figure it out. But thanks for watching part 1. Be sure to like and sub. Again, we're trying to hit 225 subscribers. That's the next goal for us, and I'll drop a special episode for you guys, another one-on-one game. I know you guys like those, so get us there, and I'll drop it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with the next part of this and the senior highlight tapes and all that stuff. So I hope you guys are excited for that. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you then.